The notification sound from my laptop made me look up from my book. Another wire transfer. I clicked on the banking alert and felt my stomach drop. $47,000 had just been moved from my savings account to an account I didn't recognize. I sat frozen in my sunroom, the Charleston afternoon suddenly feeling cold despite the August heat. Upstairs, I could hear the shower running. Marcus, the man I'd been dating for 8 months, the man who'd just asked me to marry him last week, was getting ready for our dinner reservations. The man who had my online banking password because I'd trusted him to help me organize my finances. I grabbed my phone with shaking hands, but I didn't call 911. I called my niece, Jennifer. She answered on the first ring, her FBI agent voice crisp and professional. "Aunt Dorothy, what's wrong? He just transferred $47,000. I whispered, watching the numbers on my screen. The shower was still running upstairs. "Jennifer, I think I've been dating a con artist for 8 months. My name is Dorothy Brennan, and I'm 68 years old. I spent 35 years as a certified public accountant in Charleston, South Carolina, building a successful practice that I sold when I retired 6 years ago. My husband Richard died 8 years ago from complications of diabetes. We'd had a good life together, no children but plenty of friends, travel, and a beautiful historic home in the French Quarter that Richard had lovingly restored. When he died, he left me comfortable. The house was paid off. I had retirement accounts totaling about $1.2 million, and his life insurance gave me another $500,000. I was 60 years old, suddenly alone, and financially secure but emotionally adrift. I spent the first 2 years in grief, then another 2 years finding myself again. Book clubs, volunteering at the Historical Society, learning to paint watercolors. My friends worried I'd become a hermit. My niece Jennifer, my sister's daughter who worked for the FBI's Financial Crimes Division in Colombia, kept telling me I should try dating. "You're not dead, Dorothy," she'd say. "Uncle Richard wouldn't want you alone forever." I resisted. The idea of dating at 64 felt ridiculous. Where would I even meet someone? Then, last December, at a charity gala for the Historic Preservation Society, I met Marcus Westfield. He was 52, silver-haired and charming, recently divorced, supposedly a commercial real estate developer from Atlanta who'd just relocated to Charleston. He asked me to dance. We talked for hours about Charleston's architecture, about travel, about books. He was educated, well-mannered, and seemed genuinely interested in me. Not my money, not my house. Just me. He called the next day, then the day after that. We had coffee, then dinner, then more dinners. He never rushed me. He was patient when I talked about Richard. He brought me flowers, opened doors, remembered small things I mentioned. My friends were thrilled. "Dorothy's glowing," they'd say. "It's so wonderful to see you happy again." By March, we were exclusive. By May, he'd left clothes at my house. By June, I'd given him a key so he could feed my cat when I went to visit Jennifer. He'd integrated seamlessly into my life, meeting my friends, attending events with me, becoming part of my routine. Then, in July, Marcus mentioned that his business was having cash flow problems. Nothing serious, just timing. A big commercial deal was closing in September, but until then, things were tight. He'd gotten behind on his condo rent. Could he stay with me for a few weeks? Just until the deal closed and his money came through. I said yes. Of course I said yes. We'd been dating for 7 months. I loved him. Or I thought I did. The first week was wonderful. Marcus was attentive and grateful. He made breakfast, helped with yard work, took me out to nice restaurants. He insisted on paying, even though I knew he was supposedly struggling. "You deserve to be treated well," he'd say. "I'm not going to stop courting you just because I'm going through a rough patch." It felt romantic. The second week, he asked about my finances. Completely reasonable, since we were getting serious. He was an investor, he said, and he noticed I wasn't maximizing my returns. My portfolio was too conservative. He knew people, had connections. He could help me do better. I was an accountant, Dorothy, I told myself. I could evaluate his advice. We sat at my dining room table and he went through my statements. He asked intelligent questions. He made suggestions that sounded plausible. CD rates here, some municipal bonds there, maybe a commercial real estate investment through his network. I should have known better. I did know better. But I wanted to believe him. I wanted to believe that after 8 years alone, I'd found someone who genuinely cared about me. So when he suggested we consolidate some accounts for easier management, I listened. When he offered to help set up the online banking so I could monitor everything, I agreed. I gave him my passwords. I added him as an authorized user on my checking account so he could deposit checks from his business deal when it closed. Every warning bell I'd ever learned to listen to in 35 years of accounting was ringing, but I silenced them. Love makes you stupid. Even at 68. 3 weeks ago, I noticed something odd. Marcus had used my debit card at a jewelry store. When I asked about it, he looked embarrassed. I bought you something, he said, for our anniversary, 8 months together. I wanted to surprise you. He presented me with a beautiful diamond bracelet 2 days later. I wore it that night to dinner, feeling guilty that I'd doubted him. But the next day, while cleaning, I found the receipt in his pocket. The bracelet cost $3,200. The receipt showed it was purchased with my card, but Marcus had given me a story about it being a surprise gift. That's when I started paying attention. Really paying attention. The way I would with a client's books when something didn't add up. I checked my bank statements carefully. There were small transfers I didn't remember authorizing. $500 here, $1,200 there. Nothing huge, but they added up. Over 3 weeks, almost $8,000 had moved from my accounts to accounts I didn't recognize. When I asked Marcus about it, he had explanations. That was the municipal bond investment, Dorothy. That was the down payment on the commercial property I told you about. We're partners now, remember? Our finances are blending. But I was an accountant. I knew the difference between legitimate investments and money disappearing. I made copies of everything. I started a spreadsheet, tracking every transaction. I checked the account numbers where money was going. None of them were registered investment accounts. They were personal accounts. I looked up the commercial property Marcus claimed to be buying. It didn't exist. The address he'd given me was a parking lot. I should have confronted him immediately. I should have called the police. But I was embarrassed. I was a CPA, for God's sake. How had I fallen for this? How had I let a man charm me into giving him access to my money? So instead, I called Jennifer. I need to tell you something, I said, and I'm humiliated. She listened while I explained everything. When I finished, there was silence on the other end of the line. Aunt Dorothy, Jennifer said carefully, how much has he taken so far? About $8,000 that I can document. And how much does he know you have? Everything. I showed him all my statements. More silence. Then Jennifer said something that changed everything. Aunt Dorothy, I need you to listen very carefully. Don't confront him. Don't let him know you know. This is my area. We see this constantly. Men who target widows, divorcees, wealthy women over 60, they're called romance scammers. And if Marcus is who I think he might be, you're not his first victim. The next 2 weeks were the most terrifying of my life. I had to pretend everything was normal while Jennifer ran Marcus's information through FBI databases. I had to smile while he kissed me good morning, knowing he was stealing from me. I had to listen to his stories about his business deal closing soon, knowing they were all lies. I had to sleep in the same house as a man who was systematically draining my accounts. But I also documented everything. I took photos of receipts. I recorded conversations on my phone. I tracked every transaction. And I changed my banking passwords when Marcus was out, then pretended I hadn't when he logged in and found himself locked out. Oh, honey, the bank must have reset them for security, I said innocently. Let me give you the new ones. I gave him fake passwords that wouldn't work. He tried them later when he thought I wasn't watching. I saw the flash of anger on his face before he masked it with confusion. Jennifer came to visit on a Saturday, supposedly just to check in on her aunt. Marcus was charming, shaking her hand, making small talk about her work. So, you're with the FBI? He asked. Must be fascinating. What area? White-collar crime, Jennifer said, watching him carefully. Financial fraud, elder exploitation, that sort of thing. We've been seeing a huge increase in romance scams lately. Con artists targeting vulnerable women, gaining their trust, then stealing everything they have. His face remained neutral, but I saw his jaw tighten. After he left to run errands, Jennifer showed me what she'd found. Dorothy. His name isn't Marcus Westfield. It's Marcus Webb. He's wanted in 3 states: Georgia, North Carolina, and Florida. He's scammed at least 7 women we know about. One of them lost over $300,000. My hands shook as I looked at the FBI file. There were photos of Marcus, but with different women. Screenshots of dating profiles under different names, bank transfers totaling hundreds of thousands of dollars. He'd been doing this for at least 10 years. The pattern was always the same. Target wealthy widows or divorcees, age 55 to 75, wine and dine them, move in quickly, gain access to finances, drain accounts gradually, then disappear before they realize what happened. The woman in Florida had trusted him with power of attorney over her accounts. He'd transferred $280,000 in 3 weeks, then vanished. She died 6 months later, broken and penniless. I felt sick, not just because I'd been conned, but because I'd been so stupid. I was an accountant. This was literally what I'd been trained to spot. Jennifer squeezed my hand. You're not stupid, Aunt Dorothy. You're human. These men are professionals. They know exactly how to exploit loneliness and trust. But we can stop him, if you're willing to help. What do you need me to do? I asked. Exactly what you've been doing. Act normal. Don't let him suspect you know. We need to catch him in the act, with enough evidence that he can't talk his way out of it. That night, Marcus came home with champagne and 2 steaks. He was in an unusually good mood. I have something to ask you, he said over dinner. His eyes were warm, his smile genuine-looking. Dorothy, I know we haven't known each other that long in the grand scheme of things, but I'm 52 years old. I've been married before, dated plenty. I know what I want, and I want to spend my life with you. He got down on one knee right there in my dining room. Will you marry me? The ring was beautiful, 2 carats at least, platinum setting. I wondered which of his victims had paid for it. I said yes. I let him slip it on my finger. I kissed him while my stomach churned. We'll need to talk about finances, he said later. Once we're married, combining accounts, estate planning, making sure we're both protected. I have some investments that could benefit both of us. His commercial real estate deal was finally closing, he explained. Next week, it would net him almost $600,000. But in the meantime, there was an opportunity, a time-sensitive investment. If we could move some of my money into a bridge account, we could triple our returns by Christmas. How much? I asked. He looked apologetic. $150,000. I know it sounds like a lot, but Dorothy, you have over $1 million sitting in accounts earning almost nothing. This investment is guaranteed. I have the documentation. We just need to move fast. I pretended to think about it. That's my safety net, Marcus. That's what Richard left me. He took my hands, his face earnest. I know, and I respect that. That's exactly why I want to help you grow it. You trusted Richard, didn't you? I nodded. Then trust me. Let me take care of you the way he would have wanted. I called Jennifer that night after Marcus fell asleep. He wants $150,000, I whispered from my closet, for an investment that has to happen this week. She was silent for a moment. Perfect. Here's what we're going to do. You're going to agree. You're going to set up the wire transfer. But you're not going to send it to his account. You're going to send it to an FBI account that will look exactly like an investment account. And when Marcus tries to access that money, we're going to arrest him. The next 3 days were choreographed carefully. I told Marcus I'd thought about his proposal. I wanted to do the investment. He was thrilled, hugging me, telling me how smart I was, how we were going to build such a wonderful life together. We went to my bank together on Wednesday afternoon. Marcus had given me the account routing numbers for where to send the money. The bank manager, who Jennifer had briefed, set up the transfer while Marcus sat beside me, his hand on my knee. $150,000 to account number, ending in 7,842. The transfer was scheduled for Friday at noon. Marcus was giddy. By Friday evening, he said, the investment would be secured. By Monday, we could start planning our wedding. How about a small ceremony, he suggested. Just us and a few close friends. The courthouse downtown. We could do it next week. Why wait? I smiled and agreed. Sure, I said. Why wait? Friday morning, Marcus was nervous. He checked his phone constantly, refreshed his banking app, paced the house. At 11:45, he announced he needed to run to his storage unit to get some files for another business matter. He kissed me goodbye. "I'll be back in an hour," he said. "Then we'll celebrate." The moment his car left my driveway, I texted Jennifer. "He's on the move." She responded immediately. "We're ready." I drove to the bank, my heart pounding. Jennifer was already there with 3 other agents. They were dressed in business casual, looking like regular customers. The bank manager had closed a conference room for us. At exactly noon, I logged into my online banking on the manager's computer. The $150,000 transfer was set to execute. Jennifer stood behind me, watching. The money moved from my account. For a moment, I saw my balance drop by $150,000. Then, on another screen, Jennifer showed me Marcus's activity. He was logged into his banking app from his phone, watching for the money to arrive. He'd given me the wrong account number. The one he'd told me to send money to was a personal checking account in his name, not an investment account, not a business account. His personal account. 30 seconds after the transfer completed, Marcus's phone location showed him at an ATM 3 miles away. He was trying to withdraw cash. The moment he inserted his card, FBI agents moved in. Jennifer showed me the live feed on her phone. Marcus, surrounded by agents, his face shocked and then furious. At the bank, Jennifer turned to me. "Dorothy, do you want to press charges?" I thought about the woman in Florida who died broke. I thought about the 7 other victims whose lives he'd ruined. I thought about the $8,000 he'd already stolen from me, the trust he'd violated, the months of lies. "Yes," I said, "I want to press charges for everything." Marcus was arrested for wire fraud, identity theft, and elder financial exploitation. During the investigation, they found evidence of 14 victims across 6 states. He'd stolen over $1.8 million total. Some of the women had lost everything. One had attempted suicide. Another had to move in with her children because she couldn't afford her home anymore. The FBI recovered about $400,000 from various accounts Marcus had hidden money in. It wasn't enough to pay everyone back, but it was something. The hardest part wasn't the arrest or the investigation. It was facing my friends and telling them I'd been scammed. It was admitting to myself that loneliness had made me vulnerable. It was looking at the diamond ring he'd given me, the one I'd paid for without knowing it, and feeling like a fool. Jennifer kept reminding me that I wasn't the fool. Marcus was a professional. This was his full-time job. "You caught him," she'd say. "You documented evidence. You helped us build a case that's going to put him away for 15 years. Most victims don't do that. Most victims are too ashamed to even report it." I went to his trial 6 months later. He pleaded not guilty, claimed he'd genuinely loved me, that the money was loans I'd willingly given him. His lawyer tried to paint me as a vindictive ex-girlfriend, but we had the recordings. We had the fake identity he'd used. We had the other victims who testified. The jury convicted him on all charges. 15 years in federal prison, restitution orders he'll probably never be able to pay. As they led him out of the courtroom, he looked at me, not with anger or remorse, just cold calculation. He was already thinking about his next con whenever he got out. I'm still in Charleston, still in my beautiful house. The engagement ring went back to the jewelry store. They refunded my money when I showed them the FBI report. I changed all my passwords, set up fraud alerts, and put a credit freeze on all my accounts. I joined a support group for romance scam victims. There are more of us than you'd think. Successful, intelligent women who fell for charming men with sad stories and big promises. Jennifer visits more often now. We have lunch every few weeks. She's trying to get me to help with FBI victim outreach, to speak to other women about warning signs. I'm not ready yet, but maybe someday. My friend Diane, who introduced me to Marcus at that charity gala, apologized over and over. How was she supposed to know? He'd seemed perfect. That's exactly the problem, I told her. Con artists always seem perfect. That's their job. I'm not dating. Maybe I will again someday, but not now. I'm focusing on things I can control. My painting has gotten better. I'm taking a class at the community college in forensic accounting, of all things. Learning about the techniques scammers use, the red flags I should have seen sooner. I'm volunteering at the Historical Society again, working on their financial records, using my skills for something good. Last week, I got a letter from one of Marcus's other victims. Her name was Patricia, and she'd lost $125,000 to him in North Carolina 2 years ago. She thanked me for testifying, for helping put him away, for proving she wasn't crazy or stupid for believing him. She said my testimony gave her strength to start rebuilding her life. I cried reading that letter, not sad tears, but something else. Pride, maybe, relief, the knowledge that something good came from something terrible. The house feels different now, safer. It's mine again, just mine. I had the locks changed even though Marcus is in prison. I rearranged the furniture in the rooms he'd occupied. I painted my bedroom a different color. Small acts of reclaiming my space. My cat, who'd never liked Marcus, seems happier. Animals know, people say. I should have trusted my cat. I still have moments of anger. At Marcus, obviously, but also at myself. How did I let this happen? I was an accountant for 35 years. I taught people how to protect their money. I gave seminars on financial fraud, and I still fell for it. Jennifer says, that's exactly why his type are so successful. They target smart, successful women because we think we're too smart to be conned. Our confidence becomes our vulnerability. The money he stole, $8,000, the FBI recovered about half of it. The rest is gone. That hurts less than the betrayal does. Money can be replaced. Trust is harder to rebuild. I find myself questioning everything now. When someone is nice to me, I wonder what they want. When a man shows interest, I assume he's Googled my net worth. It's exhausting, this constant suspicion. But it's also protective. I won't be fooled again. My niece introduced me to another one of Marcus's victims, a woman named Susan from Atlanta. She'd lost $200,000 to him 3 years ago. We met for coffee and talked for 4 hours. She understood in a way no one else could. The shame, the anger, the feeling of being violated. She told me something that stuck with me. He didn't steal my money, she said. He stole my ability to trust. That takes longer to get back than any dollar amount. She was right. I can rebuild my bank account. Rebuilding my trust in people, in my own judgment, that's the real work. I'm 68 years old. I'm a widow, a retired accountant, a survivor of financial elder abuse. I still live in my beautiful house in Charleston. I still have most of my money. I'm still standing. But I'm different now. More cautious, yes. More suspicious, definitely, but also stronger. I stood up to a man who'd made a career of destroying women like me. I helped put him in prison. I protected other women from becoming his future victims. That counts for something. If I could tell other women anything, it would be this. Trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. Don't ignore red flags because you want to believe someone cares about you. Don't give anyone access to your finances, no matter how much you love them. And if you are scammed, it's not your fault. These men are professionals. They study us, they manipulate us, they exploit our desire for connection. Being a victim doesn't make you weak or stupid. It makes you human. But you don't have to stay a victim. You can fight back. Document everything. Report them. Press charges. Help catch them before they hurt someone else. Marcus is in federal prison in Georgia. He'll be 67 when he gets out, about the age I am now. I wonder sometimes if he'll try to con people even then, if he's capable of anything else. I hope not. I hope prison changes him. But I'm not counting on it. Men like Marcus don't change. They just find new victims. That's why I'm considering Jennifer's offer to speak about my experience. Maybe my story can help someone recognize the warning signs before it's too late. Maybe I can turn my mistake into something that protects other women. That would be worth more than any amount of money Marcus stole. The diamond bracelet he bought with my money sits in my jewelry box. I should sell it, but I keep it as a reminder that things aren't always what they seem. That charm can mask cruelty, that love, or what I thought was love, can be weaponized. I look at it sometimes and remember the woman I was 8 months ago, lonely and hopeful, wanting to believe in romance at 68. I'm still hopeful, but differently now. I hope for good things, but I don't expect them from strangers who seem too perfect. I hope for connection, but I protect myself while hoping. That's the difference Marcus taught me. Hope with boundaries, trust with verification, love with your eyes wide open. My life isn't what I imagined when Richard died. I thought I might find love again, companionship, someone to grow old with. Maybe I still will someday. But if I don't, that's okay too. I have friends, family, interests, purpose. I don't need a man to complete me or manage my money or make me feel worthwhile. I learned that the hard way, but I learned it. And maybe that's the real ending to this story. Not that I caught the con artist or got some of my money back or helped put him in prison. Those things matter, but they're not the point. The point is that I'm okay alone. I'm safe alone. And I'm strong enough to protect myself and others. That's worth more than any fake romance Marcus could have offered me.